HealingYourself.Life provides information for awareness, educational, and support purposes only and does not diagnose or prescribe treatment for any medical condition. Viewers are encouraged to do their own due diligence and consult with their own medical caregivers before making personal treatment decisions. Welcome to HealingYourself.Life. I'm your host, Dunagun Kaiser.
And I'm your co-host, Melody Kaiser.
Today we're here to talk about living with Lyme and being married with Lyme. Lyme disease is something that came uninvited into our lives, and we'd like to talk to you about the difficulties that it threw us through and how we came out the other side and some of the struggles along the way, hoping that some of our story might help others who are dealing with similar things. So one of the things that we wanted to start with is what we knew about Lyme disease before it entered our lives. And the only thing I could think of was we were growing up in Minnesota, and I saw billboards driving between like the Twin Cities and Duluth, where there was big billboards saying, this is Lyme country, or Lyme has a target and a bullseye on this area, so be Lyme aware. And I just heard some things about it on the news and I lumped it in my mind together with all these other dread diseases that people worried about, like swine flu and bird flu and everything else. And I thought, well, it sounds serious, but then I didn't hear much about it more and more over the years. So I figured it was just something that was just kind of like the hype of the moment.
Yeah, and I remember just hearing on a TV show I was watching locally, it was kind of I think he was a hunter or something, and he had gotten Lyme, and he was saying, you should always try to catch it early because he didn't, and he was having some nerve problems, and I don't remember if he had a heart issue or not, but he was on long-term antibiotics after that because they didn't catch it. So that was the only thing I really knew, is if you get it, you better know right away and get it treated right away.
And then I didn't think about it for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And we actually no longer lived in that part of the country, and we were just back visiting for a special occasion. And as part of that special occasion, I was invited to go do this commando paintball in the woods. And this is actually in the woods of western Wisconsin, right across the border from the Twin Cities.
I think it's worse there. I think.
And didn't think about that at all. I mean, when we were kids growing up in Minnesota, we would go outside and you might get a wood tick, a deer tick. A wood tick, like a dog tick in your, and it was annoying. It was mostly just kind of gross you out, but it was never of serious concern. Right. And I didn't have serious concerns, and I failed to take prudent precautions of putting on DEET or that kind of thing. I certainly wore protective layers of clothing because I knew I was going to get hit with paintballs, or the other people were going to get hit with paintballs. Yeah, but that's all I was thinking about, and just trying to have a good time, relax, and have fun. Right. And it involved capture the flag in a deep wooded situation on a hill, and with paint guns and all that, and we were doing belly crawling to evade the enemy and that sort of thing. So the next day, like 24 hours later, was it I or you who said, "Hey, what is that?"
No, you found it.
Right by my belly button, or below my belly button, was this. Kind of looked like a blackhead, but it wasn't. No. It was an embedded deer tick. I said, "I think it's a tick. Is this a tick?" And he said, "You better get it out of there right away." So.
Well, you were pretty panicked about it because I think at that point you did know
it was serious. I had never actually seen a deer tick in my life.
No.
And they're hard to see.
Neither one of us. And we knew right away it was a deer tick.
And we pulled it out with tweezers and got the whole thing right away. And you said, "Oh man," because we were going to be not home for a couple of days because we were traveling. Yeah. So as soon as we got home, you got to get medical care. Yeah. So as soon as we got back to our hometown, I sought out my regular doctor, and they were not familiar with this at all. No, so this is back in the central Midwest, and they were in a state where it's not familiar, and they didn't. He went ahead, I go look it up in the book. He says, he comes back and says, "Okay, I'm going to give you 10 days of this antibiotic, and that should be do it." He said, actually, we'll do a blood test, but it's too early for the blood test to yield results because the blood test can only measure the antigens, your body's response to the disease, and it won't have detected it yet, and it won't have mounted its defense, so we won't detect it anyway. We'll go ahead and do the blood test, and we'll do the treatment anyway. So went home, and I guess we can talk a little bit about what happened after that. But if you want to talk about how you caught it, because you did not catch it in the woods doing commando paintball.
No, we know that for sure because
the perpetrator in my case was a deer tick.
Right.
The perpetrator in your case was
you. And now there's some controversy about that. So he got the deer tick. We found it. He pulled it out, and you got the bullseye rash.
It's true.
You got treated. We thought it's done. It's over because we caught it quick. We caught it right away. So we thought we were done. And then I never got sick. You know, it was very possible that I could have gotten a deer tick on me because it could have crawled off of him at the hotel. But that didn't happen because I didn't get sick the same as you. You got very, very sick about...
I guess we'll tell that part of the story.
Yeah,
But
anyway, so then I contracted the Lyme. We're pretty sure from Lee. The Lyme disease in particular is like a spirochete, like the syphilis spirochete. The CDC does not recognize it all.
That's the Centers for Disease Control.
Right, does not recognize that you can get it that way. There's been 2 small studies, I believe, that say you can. And that's how we believe that I caught it, was from Lee. And I started getting hip pain that I've not had. That wasn't normal for me. And my neck, I do have some issues. And the Lyme, we learned, goes to your weak points. And I do have neck and shoulder issues. But that started getting worse and worse and didn't get better. So I thought I need to get tested.
Yeah, so I guess if we could rewind back to where my initial symptoms, within a week of having gotten bit, I was just in terrible, terrible shape.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out of bed.
Right.
I was so absolutely, I mean, exhausted doesn't do it. I guess you call it severe fatigue, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I was fevers and chills, and the middle of the night trying to fill a hot water bottle because of my chills, and I couldn't fill the hot water bottle because my hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. I was trying to hold my hands were getting scalded from the hot water because I couldn't get the water bottle under the faucet because I was shaking so bad. Yeah. And so then I was bedridden and called into work sick. I couldn't go into work, and you were doing everything. You were taking care of everything, and preparing all the food, doing the laundry, and you came and you brought me food in bed. And then the second day you said, would I like to take my lunch on, or maybe it was the first day, would I like to take my lunch on the deck? And I just looked just out from our dining table, out through the patio door to the deck table. So it's like 10 feet away. And I thought, what an insane thing to have suggested. It's so far. Look how far that is. I couldn't conceive of walking another 10 feet to get to lunch. So it's this debilitating fatigue was the main thing that hit me. And then body aches and fevers and chills. Right. And then, but with the 10-day course of antibiotics,
right, he felt better then.
And there were people praying for us. Yeah. And I was like a new man. I went from 50 years old to 97 years old and back to 50 years old, all in a period of 2 weeks. And we thought, wow, that was scary. Lucky we jumped on it quick. Mm-hmm. And then years started to go by.
That was even before you were 50, actually. It happened.
Okay, shortly before that.
Yeah.
And then over time, these little other symptoms, like you might get some little other symptom from something, and you never connected the dots.
Right.
I was starting to get heart palpitations.
Yes.
And I was starting to have stinging pain before or after urinating, and it wasn't like a normal, like a bladder infection type thing.
Right.
And it just wasn't making any sense. And then you said, after that, years later, you started getting. Yeah. You mentioned. Right. Also, you didn't mention the stiff neck that just wouldn't go away.
I did. Okay. But anyway, I got a stiff neck. And then the clue to me was the hip pain that wasn't going away. And I could walk, always walk. I loved walking, and it was starting to get harder to walk, and the neck pain wasn't going away, even with, rubbing or everything. So
yeah, I mean, in the past you had some neck and back pain, and we had learned all the tricks of massage.
This is yeah.
Cold, hot.
Right. Nothing.
Arnica montana, homeopathic ointment, ultrasound, chiropractic.
Yeah, right.
Physical therapy.
Right.
Nothing was taking away your stiff neck.
No, right. Yeah.
Painful neck.
And I know there was other times when I got sick, which could have been me having caught the Lyme from Lee years later. But it's hard to recollect. I was never, I don't think, as ever sick as you were. But I did have some illnesses that may have been the Lyme infecting me. It's hard to know.
And then in addition to all of these physical symptoms, over the years you started to good-naturedly kind of teased me about my memory lapses because I was starting to forget things more and more and more.
And then it became more concerning, actually.
Yeah,
it was like,
are you taking your B12? Are you vitamin B12? Are you getting, I remember when I used to neglect sleep, it's like, are you getting enough rest? Are we taking care of yourself? And then you started to realize, you were worried. You really became
very worried that
am I going to be living with somebody who's really
can't remember things,
debilitated from that? And then there was this new thing of brain fog. I didn't know the term, but this inability to do recall and to find the words you're trying to find. At my work, during the day job, I had to often be very focused in meetings, listening to people, analyzing what they're saying, connecting the dots, recalling details. And I would find myself saying, guys, I need you to remind me what did we decide last time we talked about this, because it's just not coming back to me. So it was really affecting
your work.
My work ability, and then being able to even get out of bed in the morning to get to work. Right. That feeling of, you talk about sleep, loss of sleep.
Yes, I wasn't getting sleep either. That was another thing. And again, we didn't know what was going on. And I think then the other thing we didn't realize with the Lyme disease, your hormones can very much be affected. And so that was one of the other reasons we weren't getting sleep, because both of our hormones were very out of whack for what was normal at our ages.
Eventually, I got tested. My hormone levels, my testosterone level was down in below the 1 percentile level. I mean, out of 99 guys, I had the lowest, and my estrogen level was 3 times what yours would have been.
Right.
And yours was all upset.
Right, I was all.
And so it didn't matter how much you tried to sleep at night. In the morning, you'd never feel.
Would not feel rested.
Not feeling rested, not feeling refreshed.
Right.
So you drag through your day. Memory lapses, brain fog, aches and pains, fevers, sometimes chills, sometimes body aches, heart palpitations. Pain in places you don't want to have pain.
Right.
And then finally I got a EKG electrocardiogram test to check out what's going on with these heart palpitations. Right. And the doctor who interpreted, the cardiologist who interpreted it, then faxed the results to my doctor. My doctor sent me a communication saying, you've got a viral heart infection. You've got to go check into the hospital right now and get treated right now. This is life-threatening. So I showed up at the hospital and basically checked myself in and said, why are you here? And they started asking me all these questions about like drugs and stuff. And I said, no, it's nothing that. I've got, and you told me.
We happen to live in an area where drugs are a big problem.
Opioid epidemic. Yeah. But you told me before I went to the hospital, you said, tell them you had Lyme.
And they didn't have a clue, unfortunately.
Yeah, they didn't mean anything. Unfortunately, because of this part of the country that they're not knowledgeable about that.
Yeah, which really they should be, but especially because people travel. So really, they should be starting to know that. But anyway. And
so after a day, they said, you don't need to be here. You can go. Your heart is healthy. There's you get some little murmur. You got some. You got a left bundle branch block.
Isn't it right?
Like,
I think it's a right branch.
It's the one.
That's where our memories are.
It's the one that's supposed to be not too serious.
Not too serious. I think that's the right branch.
The more we learned about this, and that's where we started to connect the dots. It's like, wait a minute, the Lyme spirochete, like syphilis, can cause heart irregularities.
Yes.
So can Lyme cause heart irregularities, stiff neck, all these symptoms that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And then you've even had some more late developing symptoms of numbness and tingling in the foot.
Yes, I have some. My one big toe on my right side is numbness, and the sole of my foot actually will get very itchy. And we were listening to someone else who had Lyme, and both his feet were itchy and numb, and has gotten better with treatment. I'm still waiting for mine to get better. Some days are better than others. It doesn't affect my walking or anything, so that's good. And then I was going to move on to finally us now. We got tested. We went to the doctor, who is a Lyme-literate doctor.
This is the thing is, just you know how life sometimes miracles happen. So we, by luck, stumbled into a connection of a doctor. We knew we were seeking a
more natural,
non-traditional, I won't say non-traditional, not modern medical system doctor that wasn't just into serious heavy drugs and things like that and surgery, but actually was aware of Lyme as well. And we found and talked to, and we've talked off on our other episodes on our reluctantpreppers.com channel about Dr. J. Nielsen, MD, in Perrysburg, Ohio, who is a Lyme-literate MD. And sometimes people have to travel to get to one. So we were able to make a connection with him, and you insisted I would like to be tested because I'm having some of the same symptoms.
Yes, right.
And your test came back.
I got they're bands, and I don't exactly know.
There's
maybe
out of
know
5
more about
possible bands.
Right, I had 3 out of 5, and the doctor decided that was worth treating.
Again, the helpful Centers for Disease Control, CDC, which not only
but it denied that I
denies
would be
that
ill, but
that a spouse can get it from a spouse.
Yeah.
Also denied that the reality of Lyme. Well, first of all, denies the reality existence of chronic Lyme.
Yeah.
Once you're treated supposedly, and so all the rest of these symptoms are just good luck. Deal with it.
Right.
And thirdly, denied that if your body doesn't show out of 5 bands on the test,
you obviously don't have it.
You must not have it. But the doctor said, look, you've got 3 out of 5
Right.
bands. A normal person wouldn't have that.
Right.
But he said, I know another way to make sure. There's an herbal and an enzyme treatment, and we'll start that very gradually. And if you have a serious reaction to that, we know we're on the track.
Right.
So we started what's called it's a Stephen Buhner protocol. It's a very simplified version of it, taking these 5 herbs in combination in a product called LB Core that you can get from Green Dragon Pharmaceuticals, or Green Dragon Botanicals. And also a combination of 2 enzymes. One is nattokinase, the other is serrapeptase, and together they dissolve the biofilm. So if you want to learn more about this aspect of it, go see our video on reluctantpreppers.com called What You're Not Being Told About Lyme Disease by Dr. J. Nielsen. He talks about how the Lyme spirochete, like syphilis, is corkscrew shaped, and it can bury in between cells and that sort of thing, and then it can cover itself over with this cloak of invisibility, this biofilm, to make it invisible to your immune system so that you can't mount a proper defense. And but that nattokinase and serrapeptase enzyme dissolve the biofilm and expose the bad guys so that your good guys can hunt and destroy.
Right.
But you have to start really, really slow because it starts an all-out war, and the fallout, the shrapnel from this causes a reaction, which is named after the doctor who coined the term, Dr. Herxheimer. So if you have a Herx reaction, you just feel terrible. It makes all your symptoms worse, your brain fog worse, your aches and pains worse, your fatigue worse, and we're on the right track.
Right.
So we started that process, and gradually...
Right, we worked up. And, I think when we first started the LB Core, it wasn't so bad. I thought, this isn't so bad. And then we got into the more of the it's called the GemSec protocol. It's an antibiotic protocol. And then we really started suffering. It was... Yeah,
and the theory there from Dr. GemSec is that by using spaced intervals of different antibiotics, you're always tricking and surprising the bacteria that have made their way into your system, so that they think it's safe to come out, and then you hit them again, and then you withdraw, and then they think it's safe to come out, and you hit them with something else. And so, well, unfortunately, because I had childhood inflammatory bowel disease, I had a very susceptible digestive tract, and I just got wiped out by the antibiotics.
Yes.
It was hard on you too.
It was very hard. I know we were tired and hard to get out of bed. We had depression.
That's right.
Right, and we were exhausted. And then the brain fog was worse, actually, from the treatments, which we just wanted to get it over with.
Because you'd be like 3 days on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you take the next week off. It's like, oh, thank goodness for those weeks off. We would
just
actually get a little bit of sleep. We can have a little bit of comfort or whatever, and then back at it again.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
the week off was
kind of like you're in a war, and they're moving you up to the front, and then moving you back, and then moving you up to the front, and it's just like, oh my gosh, those battle weeks were really tough.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, we were going to talk about the effects of the antibiotics.
Yes,
eventually,
right, yes.
So you start out with the easy antibiotics that are usually well tolerated, and then a month later you introduce a more tough one and a more tough one, and there's this ladder, this ladder that you go up.
And you're taking more than one antibiotic at a time.
Yeah,
on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday that we were doing it, you start out with one antibiotic, and then you build to 2 antibiotics Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then take a week off, and then you go 3 antibiotics, and you're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It's a month at a time. You're adding more.
Yes.
But then you're ending up making it harder 3 and harder 3 as you work your way up the ladder.
Yeah.
And it was just to where I couldn't. I was having just terrible digestive upset problems.
And then both of us started having digestive issues, I would say. He had more of the diarrhea.
Yeah.
I had gas and bloating, and it was uncomfortable and embarrassing, obviously.
And it can make you feel like just your energy is just gone.
Yeah,
too.
and I think the depression was a big deal. We both kind of felt like, what is the point?
It was startling to us because generally we're pretty energetic and excited about the holidays coming and gonna go on vacation.
Yeah.
It's just like, so who cares?
Yeah, right.
It's like, wow.
It was really,
I've heard
felt
about that,
really
but I've never
awful
been
because
through it.
we've always been so enthusiastic about, like, our kids were going to come for Christmas, and we had a wedding coming up for one of our children, and we wanted to be so excited about this. Of course, it was an amazing, wonderful event, life-changing event.
You wait for those joyful feelings to just emerge on their own, and finally you just have to summon them up. I'm just going to make it through this thing because I'm not getting those happy feelings about life at all.
Right.
And or the caring about things. So that was really tough.
That was important. Very,
and then
very tough.
Without the digestive working, then your energy level was just gone. I mean, if you're not getting nutrition from your food, what's the fuel you're using to
help your
get
body
through your day and repair and everything? And the other thing we were told is that your digestive tract and your whole digestive system has a larger surface area inside you than outside you.
Right.
So you're actually encountering the outside world more on inside you than you are outside you. Everybody thinks, I gotta wash my hands.
Right.
Don't touch your face if you don't don't touch a doorknob or cough. But it's actually inside you where most of your encounter with the outside world is and where the most of the activity of your immune system is. So our immune systems were totally messed up. Our digestive systems were messed up. Muscular, endocrine, our hormones were messed up. Our sleep was messed up. And this went on for months and months and months.
Well, we were on a year of the antibiotics.
And that's when we noticed on that ladder, we talked about the more difficult ladder of antibiotics.
Yes.
We started reading up on, maybe we should read these package inserts.
Well, actually, it was an acquaintance on Facebook of mine, and I noticed fluoroquinolones, it was called, and that was one of the things that we were going to be coming up against was those.
We're about to move on to that next.
And they can cause permanent ligament damage, I think. I think it's permanent.
Achilles tendons.
Tendons, sorry. And so we thought, this is not something we want to continue with because we feel already vulnerable. And then we went back to the doctor and we were talking to the doctor, and it looked like we were having candida from having too much antibiotics. So we really did need to stop the antibiotics. We just had to stop.
Right. So we came to an agreement with our Lyme-literate MD. Let's just take a break from the antibiotics because Lee can't maintain his weight. Sue's got these terrible bloating and gas issues, and they're concerned about the potential for greater risks, and
we've got candida.
And that's the other thing. So what we'd like to do is
we'll do that another time.
Is talk to you about what the heck is candida.
Right.
Why does that have to do with antibiotics?
Yeah.
And long-term antibiotic treatment.
Right.
What does that do to your body?
Right.
And how do you treat that? And you can look forward to that next time. But I guess just on this point, and maybe we'll get back to this, is how struggling through chronic illness affected our relationship.
Oh, yes,
as well.
yes. There's another thing. It does
so we'll get back to that
marriage.
also.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that.
How you support your partner through chronic illness.
Right. And then another thing I just wanted to mention before we leave was one of the things we started doing that I think has been a real blessing is we found out actually the saunas that we enjoy has a really good medical purpose as long as we use cat's claw and otoba bark because, again, the Lyme is extremely smart. And if you get a fever, for instance, which you will in a sauna,
elevate your core temperature.
Yeah, elevate your core temperature, which is what you're supposed to do. The Lyme will cover itself with a hard shell.
Turns into a cyst.
Turns into a little cyst.
Protect itself.
Thank you. And then the sauna will do you no good. But we found through our own research
and through talking to a herbalist, was it?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, you talked to an herbalist. We got this otoba bark and this cat's claw, and we use that before we go in the sauna. And it's supposed
just so you know, it's not an actual cat's claw. It's a type of herb called cat's claw.
Yes.
And when you take those two in combination, it's been proven in vitro in laboratories to prevent the spirochete, the Borrelia burgdorferi spirochetes from being able to turn into their cyst form. And if they're not in their cysts, they're exposed. They're vulnerable. their soft underbelly is exposed, and then the heat.
Right, then can actually do the heat can do its job of killing them. Most infections, you raise your temperature. We've been able to get it up to 102, 103 our temperatures, and anything above 100 will kill not only the Lyme but the Candida that we were having. So that was good news, and that's been a nice thing for us to do. But we can talk another time about the effects on the marital relationship. Obviously, when you're both feeling depressed and you don't have any energy, life's not the greatest when you're hurting like that. So
yeah.
We'll need to
a lot
do
of
that
thoughts are coming to
time.
mind that we can share in that one.
Yes.
But thank you for this, and please add your comments below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, this is HealingYourself.Life.
Yes.
Subscribe. You're gonna be glad, because you're gonna get all kinds of different topics on different subjects of wellness
right. Not
coming
only
your way.
Yes, this topic, but hopefully many other topics, health topics. So that'll be a great thing for all of us to learn, because that's why we're here too, because we learned. Because the medical system isn't going to help you, something that I think we need to say is that you're in charge of your health, really. Doctors aren't going to help you always. And yes, you can trust some more than others, but still you have to also trust yourself. If things are not going well, here we had a very Lyme-literate doctor, and we decided we just couldn't take that medication. We need to find another path, even though he's a great doctor. So again, you have to listen to yourself and listen to your own body and listen to your own thoughts. Take advice that you want to take in, and then leave the rest, because you have to take care of yourself. And that's what we've learned through this process, is you can't always trust the medical system at all.
And you need to do the research.
And you need to do the research on your own, as hard as that is, especially when you're feeling ill.
So
Who wants to do
we'll
research?
share some more tips also later on organizations and websites where you can get additional information.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us on
Thank you.
HealingYourself.Life.